Beardos.
So, for example, just before we started rolling, we were having this little conversation about the sort of like the fundamental honesty of trying to figure out your personal sort of style and all of that stuff, which I think you kind of exemplify, right? Like you've been doing guitar for a lot of time, right? You're quite good at it, if you don't mind me saying.
Thank you very much.
And you actually make it work for you, which is like this. That's like the trifecta, right? It's not just passion. It's passion plus business plus embodiment, kind of thing.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself? How would you describe that process? How did you find the inherent balance?
What's the alchemy in finding your sound and what it is that defines you as a musician? It's a small question.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like every guitar player, I kind of fell in love with 3 or 4 bands right at the early stages. Before I could even play, you know, D chord, just sort of put my fingers down and struggle to hit the wrong strings and everything. I fell in love with U2, and I didn't know how Edge did anything that he did. That was just magical things that happened. I had no idea about delay, technique, nothing, you know. And then I found, I love this story, but I went to one of my first like house parties when you're a little dirty teenager, and somebody passed me an audio cassette, which, by the way, if you're wondering, kids, is a device that you'd listen to music on a long time ago. And it had Justice for All.
Oh.
And I was like, what's that? He went, you got to just check it out, man. And we were all a bit drunk on Diamond White, you know. So we put it on this really bad stereo, and I just couldn't believe how it sounded, like almost like classical orchestration, but with this heaviness. And I fell in love with Metallica, as you can probably see here. And I just wanted to be in a band. You know, that's all I wanted. I wanted to wear this kind of thing. I wanted to be James Hetfield, the cyborg right hand. I wanted to be doing all that kind of stuff, you know.
You fall in love with an aesthetic kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it wasn't just the music. There was more than the music. It was the vibe. They were so cool. James Hetfield was such an awesome guy, and he played with his guitar so low, you know. And then I discovered this live guitar expo on TV, and it had Brian May and Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. It was the Live in Madrid Guitar Expo. And Joe Satriani just walks on stage with a leather jacket and plays Satch Boogie. And I'd never really been exposed to jazz really any more than Wes Montgomery, sort of some of the Mahavishnu Orchestra stuff. And to hear this kind of bebop, funky guitar stuff with high gain, and it's fluid. And Joe made me want to be a guitar player. So Metallica made me want to be in a band. Joe Satriani made me desperately want to be a guitar player.
Interesting.
And that was the point where I kind of thought, right, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I didn't want to learn lots of other people's music. I wanted to write my own music, because I realized what I had fallen in love with was their music. They obviously had influences, you know, Diamond Head and Black Sabbath, and, you know, you can see Satriani is heavily influenced by Jimi Hendrix and all these, but they're doing their thing, and I wanted my own Satch Boogie or my own, you know, Justice for All, Eye of the Beholder, whatever it is, you know. So I started trying to write, and I was, I mean, quite frankly, shit, you know. Sort of, I'll never forget my mate Sam Marsh, love you Sam, saying, Rob, stop, you are shit. and I got really angry, and I used to lock myself in my room and just like, you know, woodshed. And then I don't really know why or whether it was just going to happen over time, but something just clicked into place, and I suddenly, I kind of got it. And I was trying to learn a little solo by Schenker from UFO.
Okay.
And it was on a track called Into the Arena. Wow, memory.
Okay, okay, yeah.
And it's this kind of insane pentatonic stuff, way ahead of his time. And a little bit of it suddenly clicked, and I suddenly understood that you could do this thing with your fingers that did a thing, and then that worked, and you could bend, and it all kind of connected some dots.
Interesting.
And then I was off.
Okay.
And I just wrote riffs, because Metallica was the biggest influence from I learned the whole Puppets album, the whole, Justice album. I learned even Green Hell, all the kind of B-sides. I learned everything. And I was obsessed with their songs, which are unusual.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Master of Puppets has made it to like added to the library of the American canon.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
No, I think you're right.
It's like no. So it's technically entered to the American canon.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It was like that's unlikely to say the least, because the music is not what you'd expect,
No.
right? It's angry, it's nuanced in a very particular way,
Yeah.
it's got a very particular aesthetic, it's like,
It's educated.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're making decisions
Yeah.
for harmonies, and it's educated.
Yeah.
And that what I fell in love with was the use of harmony and the little chord things they would do that seemed so simple but were so powerful.
Yeah.
And I think people sometimes, forget how that was kind of unique for what they were doing. They took a thing that, a lot of other bands were doing, and they really finessed it. And so I fell in love with that. And then I wrote riffs, because riffs was what I grew up doing, Yeah. So, and a lot of the early sort of Dorje stuff I did, and even before that with the Black Hand, was really riffs that I had written when I was 19, 20,
Okay. We were talking about this sort of like that moment of like you're trying to capture that one moment of beauty, right?
Yeah.
Like that brings you forward, and you're just thinking, oh, this really works, kind of thing. And considering like how young Metallica were when they were started going through that thing, like this was probably like it's a bunch of intuitions. It's not really formalized. It's or like it's not formalized from just a technique point of view. That kind of happens probably later when I'm assuming like they just mature. They mature into the musicians they eventually become, right? Not to say that they weren't those musicians, but those were like little milestones on the journey, right?
I have an interesting take on this. I think sometimes volume is a really good teacher. Because if you lock yourself in a garage and you play a lot of my boomer friends will know this, high volume, heavy aggressive guitar, your hands soon start to learn how to cover up the unwanted noise. And if you're leaving anything open, it's just going to go, rah!
Yeah,
So the volume teaches you some of the technique that you need for that kind of,
It's amplifying all your mistakes and all of the other stuff as well, I guess. So that brings you like, I cannot just like let it ring.
That's it. I mean, you look at anything Hetfield was doing on Justice, and it's like, that's some finessed damping. And I really got that in for example, Somniphobia, the riff. All that string skipping kind of stuff, it's great and fun, but it leaves a lot of open opportunity for unwanted noise and strings to pop out. And if it wasn't for going through, years of trying to play James Hetfield stuff and then learning Satch Boogie and all that kind of stuff, I would never have got my hybrid and my palm muting, and that crafted my playing into more carefully made right-hand decisions.
Okay. We have had a very interesting shoot and a very interesting process over the past, was it like 3-4 weeks ago?
Yes, and I should say a big thank you to Rupture, of which you were a part, and the wonderful Steve, who's very sexy behind the camera over there, and everyone else at Rupture for helping us to do that.
Yeah, so like this is to me like is probably like the most the part I'm very interested to sort of like delve into, because this is literally you, a creative with a very strong vision, a very strong voice, a very strong sort of like aesthetic in many ways. That's what I mean by aesthetic, by the way. It's not just like something visual. It's the whole package.
Yeah.
It's like, this is Rob Chapman. This is the music he makes. This is the way he speaks. This is the way he plays, right? It's the whole package. So you as a creative have a particular aesthetic. We had a very pleasant chat a couple of times, and this thing materialized. And I would like to query that process in the sense of what drew you to the certain decisions. Like, for example, when we had the very first sort of like chat about what the concept is, and we were just like throwing shit at the wall to see what works. How did you? Because I kind of remember you making this sort of like. There was a very sort of like, you got very excited, and this is my experience, right? So if I get anything wrong, please push back. You got very excited, and I remember at some point we even threw like the bleed video, right?
Yeah.
Which is,
if in doubt, turn to Meshuggah.
And at some point though, you kind of like got yourself into like a very sort of like it felt like we've achieved some sort of trust between us.
Yeah.
And then you kind of took a step back,
Yeah.
which was first of all, I think, incredibly shrewd and mature of you.
Well, thank you.
If you are a creative with a very strong aesthetic, a very strong voice, you still need to nest that within like a bunch of trusted collaborators, right? And that building of trust, that sort of like making sure you've got like, even the guys from Video Cafe, they certainly like elevated the game, and like really like we threw them into this sort of like new technological veneer, and they just like excelled, right? I've only seen very little of the video, but like the little I've seen, I'm like, right? Tell me more about this, please.
I'll tell you what, Nico, I think I'm quite quick to recognize talent and vision. And although I may have my own vision, as soon as you guys, I could tell that you saw what I saw in my head, that was it. I didn't need to be in the way or a part of that, because when there are people in the room who are so highly experienced, I mean, I've made videos for 20 years now. It's terrifying. And I have filmed or been involved in filming, I think it's 9, well, I've done 8 music videos with Video Cafe, and then a previous 5. So I've been through a lot of them.
Yeah.
I am very happy to let go when someone has a vision and I'm like, that's the vibe that I see. And for me, it's the darkest song I've ever written. Not necessarily the heaviest, but definitely the darkest, because it talks about a dark topic of people being bullied and cancelled online, and the inability to fight this kind of intangible cloud of anger and hatred online, you know, and how difficult it is to fight against that. And how everyone at some point kind of goes through this process of feeling, you know, held up and exposed and pulled apart. And it was when you said, oh, we could have a tower of robotic eyes. I was like, yeah. This is, and they were like, we need an actress. I'm like, yeah, we do need an actress. I've never done a narrative before. And we need someone that can really emote the feelings and talk the story of what the song is about, which is really a warning call and a defense of people who go through these experiences.
I think it's only fair that we give a shout out to Annalise.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Excelled on the day.
Yeah, and also sorry for you know, caressing your face with my blackened, charred hand.
That shot.
Again, it was the creepiest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. But no, when I recognised that you guys got the vibe and were off, I was like, this is great. I'm going to sit back and just, this is going to happen, you know.
That is a very hard, like for most creatives, especially creatives who, I think this is maybe a little bit more endemic to the, well, I don't think it's endemic to the Maltese, but it's certainly exemplified in the Maltese veneer, because everything is so small, right? And everyone's in each other's face all of the time. There's a certain sort of like, no, this is mine, fuck off. You know?
No, I mean, I think having made more than sort of 2,500 videos, I'm very happy to let go. If someone else can come up with the ideas and you know, draft it and put me on a stage and film, and I just want to be a part of the experience. And it's really fun to let go and be just a person being filmed, rather than, you know, here's the concept, here's all the gear, I better plug everything, and you know, this is luxury, mate.
Yeah, okay.
So
That's
it's
cool.
great to let go.
That's cool.
Well, that's the great thing about my amazing office here that you can see around you, is that it has many areas that are secret, dark and vast. And one of them is anything you'd like it to be, apparently.
Yeah.
So all in the convenience of a toilet just over there, air conditioning should you require it, and takeaway pizza. So that's a lot better than being under 38 degrees of sunshine. And,
That's kind of like, I think that's probably the one of the most like, this is the way to sell it to like to creatives, right? Like whereas before you'd be looking around for a really cool spot to haul all your gear to, and try to get like the angles and make sure it doesn't rain and make sure the barbed wire doesn't cause tetanus and all of that kind of stuff, right? You kind of, okay, I want giant mushrooms. Okay, giant mushrooms it is, right?
Yeah.
And all of that
after the shoot, Nick.
Yeah. I mean, sure. And yeah. Yeah.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, sure, please.
Just because it ties into this. So I once did a music video. I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. Did a music video shoot with Video Cafe. We found a cave. I think it's what's it called?
Oh, Lahrash Tal Meliha.
Lahrash Tal Meliha.
Yeah.
Big sunken hole cave in the ground. You wouldn't know it was there unless you flew a drone over it and saw it. It's huge.
Oh, shit.
People used to live in there.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to film a music video in this cave. It would be the best thing ever. And they were like, oh, it's quite hard to get in there. And I'm like, nah, we'll be fine. You know, you guys are like 6.5 foot tall. I'm kind of built. We can do this, you know, but we're going to need a generator. Yeah, no, it's fine. We 2 of us, 3 of us can carry a generator across, you know, 1/2 mile of fields into a cave.
Yeah.
We hired a drummer. We hired a bassist. Because at the time I didn't have a lineup. We drove to the middle of this random field with a generator which weighed more than you and I combined. Set it up at the edge of the cave entrance because we couldn't carry it down into the cave. I clambered down with all the gear, drum kit, bass amp, everything. Get into the cave. It's taken us 3 hours to get into the cave with the gear. We're already exhausted. Of course. Sweat is dripping off my face. I can't feel my hands from carrying stuff. I set up everything, you know, smoke, get it looking great. It does look phenomenal. And then just as we're about to start and hit go, I'm like, I need a shit. What? How does that work? I'm in the middle of, and they're like, no, Rob, you're going to have to just, that's big boy time, hold that in. Okay, all right, okay. I'll try and make it look natural while I'm playing. Okay, ready, action. Wait a minute, there's a hornet nest here. A literal hornet nest about 7 foot to the side of me, flying in and out of this cave entrance, and they were about this big.
Yeah, man.
Not an exaggeration, by the way, folks. And I'm like, oh my God. And then, unfortunately, the drummer hadn't learned the track.
Oh, because why would he, right?
Whole thing was a complete write-off. Had a very uncomfortable situation, as you can probably imagine.
Yeah.
All of that, someone could have just gone into the cave, filmed the area, stuck it here in one of my infinite rooms, and then we could have had the toilet, the air conditioning, the pizza takeaway, and none of that stress and no hornets.
Yeah. Well, not unless you need them, right?
Unless you want digital hornets.
Yeah, sure. There is a degree of empowerment because it does unlock a bunch of sort of like new possibilities, right? Now everything comes with its own sort of like, there's no free lunch, right? There's never a free lunch. You're always trading, right?
Yeah.
So I guess understanding when it's a good trade is maybe the...
Well, I mean, in this instance, that was one location.
Yeah.
This, during our music video shoot for Somniphobia, was 3 locations?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yes.
In the end...
So 3 locations in the space of one day, we pulled up, parked, and walked in.
Yeah. And in fairness, 2 of the 3 locations are not readily found in the world, right?
No.
So like we have yet to find the abyss of robotic eyes or the ill-conceived geometry space.
That's right. Yeah, we made up some fictitious places that looked eerie and weird.
Yeah,
I was very happy about that.
That's cool, that's cool. So the concept of the song.
Sure.
And whether or not, first of all, did the song write itself in the sense, did you have this ball of anger or all of that angst and stuff from the very pleasant time you were having at the time and unload on a guitar? Or did you write the more verbalized? What was that? What did that look like?
So I never really, it always sounds strange and a bit contrived when I say this, but I never really write songs that I just get a download. It's like I've got a broken Wi-Fi connection to music, and I just have a coffee and I'll just be, you know, kind of just shredding stuff that I can't do, like, trying to get my speed up, and then I'll start playing some. And then out of the blue, I'll probably hit something that sounds vaguely musical, you know, like. And when something musical happens, it seems to sort of trip something. Something gets set in motion. And I go, oh, and then suddenly I just have all the lyrics and I just write them down, and I can kind of see all the chords.
Okay.
It just.
Oh, so then it's kind of like cascades kind of thing?
Normally just the whole thing.
That's very interesting.
Well, it's a burden at 3 a.m.
Oh, hey, man.
when you wake up for a, you know,
It's also a gift.
big boy wee wee, and then suddenly you got a whole song and you got to sing it into your phone. This song half happened like that. We were jamming at Luke's studio. And I had written this that riff, and I really enjoyed the feeling of that riff. And I'd written that for Dorje. When Dorje was still a thing. And it came around the same time that I had written an exercise that I realized could be a riff, which was this. Because all it is I'm just going up in this sort of minor third type shape. And when I was doing this, I thought, what happens if I string skip? And then what happens if I just carry that idea up and then invert it? And anyway, I kind of found this riff. Played it to the guys in, at the time, Clockwork Wolf and Company. Now it's obviously Rob Chapman. They were like, yeah, it's a good riff. It's a good riff. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. And we did what we always did. We just jammed on it, and it just came. The music came from that. And then I just started singing, and all the lyrics just came out in one go.
Okay.
And it was a catharsis.
Very
you know?
cool. Very cool.
It's a song of injustice, and it's a song of wanting to protect other people from what's only going to get a lot worse.
The first time the old band met after COVID, kind of like there was that COVID sort of like, at some point we just got antsy and said, shall we just meet up? And like we're in the garage, like everyone's like self-quarantining, let's just fucking do something because, you know? And I think in the space of a single session, we kind of mapped out this very interesting like arrangement minus the outro. And that outro for the next, I think, 3 or 4 months just kicked our asses until we found something that kind of got what it needed. It became what it needed to be. But we kept sort of like prospecting to pay homage to the first chunk of it, kind of thing, right? Which is interesting. Like in fairness, I think that's probably I am more gratified and I more enjoyed that part than listening to the song. Almost, like it's the prospecting stage, which is the you noodling around and then like And that moment, that's like those aha moments, like they're just like pure adrenaline as far as I'm concerned.
You know, that's what Dorje was all about.
Okay.
In fact, I mean, I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, there it is.
Tattoo. This is a Dorje. And what it is it's the thunderbolt of enlightenment captured to be observed.
Yeah.
So it's about the kind of the eureka, like, moment, and then you capture that and you can observe that feeling and what caused that. It's a hammer used to ring a bell for meditation, but it represents the thunderbolt of enlightenment.
And is it a Buddhist thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for me, when I get that connection to whatever music is, probably it's just my brain going, I'm like, I just let go and let it happen. It's not me, it's something going through me. And what I've discovered is I let go of all of it, even the lyric writing. If I don't get a lyric, leave it. It'll come. I have toured songs without all the lyrics and just improvise the verse 2 or whatever it is. And then suddenly you get it and it just comes out and you write. You go, there was just needed another half a year, you know. In fact, this live album that we've recorded now as Rob Chapman, there are 2 songs that we've recorded in full. I have no lyrics.
Oh.
So they don't go on the album. At some point when the lyrics come to me, it'll be a 2-track EP.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but I leave it alone. I don't push it, never push it.
That to me is like this is very interesting because that to me is probably like the most honest way of discovering what the music is. Incidentally, when we had the shoot, me and Zaire just stepped out and had a chat that turned out into a chat, right?
Yeah.
And you and Steve were...
He's deep.
Yeah. And he made this very interesting point. You discover parts.
Yeah.
You do not own them. You interpret that discovery, right?
And you rent them too.
Yeah. And the idea that, like, first of all, it's non-degenerative. This is the beautiful thing about it. So let's say you found that beautiful riff, you discovered this beautiful riff, and interpreted it and made it connect to this bigger veneer of the song, right? And yet that riff, someone else might, like, I don't know, maybe there's this ukulele duo that will happen upon that because you're skipping strings and it's differently strings, so they might encounter the same.
You could do an acoustic version, actually.
Oh.
I probably should think about that. That's a good idea.
Well,
I'm not sure about you'd need to rewrite the verse, but it could be done.
yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting.
Like, for example, rather than... You could be a lot more like...
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And then it's a bit more musical, kind of, probably should have done that anyway.
No. It's like what I heard the moment you started playing was like you could probably like find that chord progression and do like more of like a hand picking kind of.
Yeah, that's it. You would just sort of lean on the. Because you got a lot of nice open strings.
Yeah.
And that would sound quite nice.
I think that would sound beautiful, man. Please do that for the next episode.
I do. I love playing acoustic, but then when you see, people like Mike Dawes, who is phenomenal, you just kind of go, well, you could just hire Mike to play it, and it would just be so much better. You know?
Fair enough. I don't know. It's like especially when you're like at the edge of knowing something, right?
Yeah.
And you're just making certain decisions, like out of the what do you call it? Like the naivete of not knowing, right? You sometimes make very original decisions because of that.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to like you're repurposing your sensibility, which let's call it it's a metal sensibility, to this like let's say a jazz sensibility or like a folk sensibility.
A reinterpretation into almost like a different language. Isn't it? That's kind of.
Yeah, you're listening in English, but you're talking French, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's very much like the track. All a lot of people would have known from from my past.
Yeah.
I really enjoy hybrid picked, drop tuned stuff. For me, that's really kind of where I started. When I got into Soundgarden, and it was like, you can tune like that? Like, what, drop A? Yes, please. I'll have all of the drop A and all these weird, you know, just almost forget all of the chords you know and find a sound.
So, are you thinking of releasing the album as well very soon, or is it still early days to make the call?
I have to be honest and say that at the moment, I'm talking to some labels, booking agencies, and management, and I don't know what the decision will be. Originally, the guys and I just kind of thought, we'll just put out a tune, wait a bit, put out a tune, because right now, albums, it's a flash in the pan and gone, and the average person that listens doesn't want to listen to an album, which is a bit sad, but it is what it is. So I think we'd rather put out a tune and kind of drip feed it. Here's a tune. And also, the stuff we've written is so different from itself. I mean, I have none of us in the band have any kind of, oh, we're a rock band, or we're a metal band. We're just a band. We'll play anything. So Somniphobia is very definitely a progressive rock, dark tune. But then we have a ballad, like a bluesy ballad. We have some sort of, we've got a track called Morning of the Owl, which is if we were AC/DC, that kind of vibe. We've written a lot of very different kinds of music under the name Rob Chapman. And really it's because when I write, it either comes out like Dorje did, progressive rock, or it comes out like Clockwork did, Americana blues rock, or it comes out like my Monkey Lord project, which is ambient, instrumental soundscape, I don't know what you'd call it. But really, as Rob Chapman, I write all of that, so the band should just be all of that.
Fair enough.
So we kind of thought, does that work on an album even? I don't know.
I don't know. Like maybe like it's time to like reimagine what the word album means as well, right? Like and the like the so let's take on board this very sort of like shrewd point you made about like this sort of drip feed attitude kind of thing. Maybe that's what an album is nowadays, right? Like we certainly know that the traditional album does not as a platform work as much as it did, you know, and for all of those reasons, right? For all of the technology, attention spans, all of that stuff. But like having like a projected journey over, let's say, a year of one connected story, even if the story takes you to the beautiful ballad kind of thing, and it was like, and then like, I don't know, the breakup, which is like the darkest song, you know, but you can still envision it as an album.
Yeah, and this is all sort of tethered together because it was all recorded live over a week. And we played so hard. Each song we went through it like 15, 20 times until we had that one song that was like, that's the one. No click track, just volume in the same room. And it was one of the most amazing musical experiences I think we definitely have ever had. So it's all connected by that experience and a lot of food. A lot of coffee breaks and cheese on toast and, you know, olives and things.
Very good.
I don't know. I think we'll have to see what the new management label company recommends that we would do. And obviously having an album ready to go is quite a good bargaining chip
sure.
for that kind of vibe as well.
Fair.
So
that's fair. Anyhow, sir, like I think I've taken enough of your time.
You're welcome. This is like being on Joe Rogan, but slightly beardier.
Yeah, well, I would say more than slightly.
Can I, in English, we say Bagsy?
Sure, please.
The first ever Beard T-shirt.
Oh, for sure. I'll get the design done just after I finish your design.
Thanks, man.
No, it's. I'll work on it. It's just had like. I was hoping to have it ready by today, but.
Yeah. By the way, for anyone wondering why there's a baritone on stage, this is actually Nico's. It's not mine.
This is probably one of the best surprises I've ever had in my life. So on the day of the shoot, Mr. Men here.
I wasn't saying it so you had to tell them.
Yeah. No, but like I am very glad to tell the story. So like me and Matt from Video Cafe, are upstairs discussing the storyboards, right? And then comes Dr. Chapman here with like a bass and a guitar. Hands the bass to Steve and hands the guitar to me, and I'm like, yeah, man, it's a nice guitar. We're working, right? It's like didn't even like, no, this is yours. What you mean? It's like, so for the whole shoot, I'm like, there's the guitar upstairs.
Well, I had received like 16 new prototypes, and I quite frankly ran out of space in my flat.
Oh, thanks, man.
And also,
Really special.
Luke ran out, but also it is brutally low tuned, and for someone like you and your musical sensibilities, it really does.
No. It's like.
But you know what you need to do is drag it behind the car and relic it a bit. You know.
Oh no, man! Like that'll happen.
You like it all silky?
No, that'll happen. It'll
Oh,
happen
okay.
naturally. I will not like. I'm butterfingers enough as it is. Like I don't need to try to destroy shit. But yeah, man, this is like it really reignited quite a lot in me.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be part of the reignition of Nico Grimer.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
There you have it, folks. That's the wrap on the first Beardos episode, apparently.
Beardos. You need a Beardo theme tune.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's as if I know a musician, right?
That's right. Yeah. I'll see if I can find something for you.
Yeah.
Beardo.